Good morning. It is me, Pearl from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned In Tarot. And we're here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine sides of self, understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see this reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our external environment. And if we want to experience things shifting and changing, then we have to be shifting and changing the thoughts and feelings we're having to create the reality that we desire. And this week, we are going to look first at the masculine energy because he has the most cards showing. And then we will look at the feminine energy. And as I just said to my lovely TikTok followers that are over here to my left, your person and you are composed of both energies. So don't tune out from one because you think it doesn't apply. Both of these energies apply to the headspace and the heart space of the people involved. The dominant masculine energy, head and heart space, the dominant feminine energy of head and heart space, they will align. There will be intersections, and those are the places where you have the most healing. After we go through the masculine and feminine side of self, we will be doing the oracles, which is the most powerful part of the reading. That is where you actually get the advice you need to be able to make the shifts and changes that will help you create the life that you desire to live. Okay, so we're going to do that thing where we think about something that we think that we need right now that will make us feel better. And it can be, honestly, it can be mundane. Like right now, I'm thinking I really would like a real desk and a real chair that's not broken. 10:11 on the clock. So that's what I'm thinking. It can be mundane, but you can kind of get to the heart of that mundane. Like, what is that I'm seeking? I'm seeking comfort. I'm seeking, honestly, a little bit of luxury. I'm seeking the to improve my ability to do the work that I'm doing. Like there's multiple layers in wanting a desk and a chair, right? That's in my workspace. And if you're wondering why I don't have those things right now, it's because I moved from Los Angeles to the East Coast and just with my car. And so I had to leave much of my things behind. And I am now starting over again because I love to do that on the East Coast again. And there's going to be in the description box below, if I remember to do it after this session, a link, and it will be in future YouTube videos and on my website where you can actually send me things. If you don't feel like sending donations, monetary donations, and you have more fun sending people gifts, I'm going to be having a list of the things that I will need in my new space, my next space. So you can send me a gift. And my birthday's at the end of the July. So go in. I love getting presents. But so I want you to think about what you need, even if it's like a mundane thing and you're just like, this will make me feel better. And kind of hone in on that, on what it is. Like if you think you need communication, why? There's probably a deeper reason. You think you need communication because you want to feel secure. You want to feel validated, right? So whatever it is that you think you need, kind of hone in on the essence of it because it's usually a little deeper than just that first initial thought. So hold that in your mind for just a moment. That is what your ego thinks that you need right now that will improve your situation, your life, etc. You want to know what you actually need? Let's see. Let's see how close you were in the thing you were thinking to what you actually need most deeply. Look it, it's the Knight of Wands. I haven't pulled this for what we most need in a while. This is interesting because I wouldn't consider this a comfortable energy. So I was like, I need comfort. And the universe is like, I need to light a fire under your ass. I need you to pick up the pace. I need you to be less comfortable and move faster. I need you to go after your passions and your dreams with and be spontaneous and not have to always plan everything and always have a strategy and always know how it's going to work out, but just do it, just be it, just feel it. In some cases, if you've been in the shadow of this card, I need you to step it up and be a lot more consistent. I'm gonna need you to be a lot more consistent. I'm gonna need you to stop love bombing others and love bomb the fuck out of yourself. Like These are all these different elements that are coming from this Knight of Wands card that we actually need. Maybe some of you thought that the Divine Masculine should come and sweep you off your feet. And maybe you do need that. But you're like, if you're sitting there waiting, batting your eyelashes for the Divine Masculine to come take you out of your tower, you're not getting the message. Because if you want Divine Masculine to come and sweep you off your feet, then in what way do you need to sweep someone else off their feet? And I don't mean your person. You might need to sweep yourself off your feet. You might need to have a love affair with yourself. You might need to go swiftly towards your passions and sweep the world off their feet with the whatever it is you do creatively in this world. That is what you actually need today. Great. I'm looking forward. I wanted a chair and a desk. Incidentally, my mom said she was going to buy me the desk for my birthday present, which is great. So now all I need is the chair. So if you want to buy me the chair, that's on my list. When you see it, I'll be so happy. It's pink. It's pretty. I was going to get a turquoise one, but then I found this pink one. And in my mind, I wanted a throne. I'm a Leo. I want a throne. Okay, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But they don't make a throne with like wheels. So it's like kind of like throne-esque. Like it shouts out to thrones. It's cute. You can see it on my link when I finally posted up to my page, which I was supposed to do yesterday and didn't. I still need to do that. Dang it. I had it on my list and I did all the other stuff on my list. I know. How about I have a negativity bias and focus on what I didn't do instead of what I did do? All right, let's go now to the Divine Masculine energy and find out what the hell he's thinking. We already saw that he's thinking about himself as the King of Cups. This is the overall thing on his mind. I hate it. But I'm going to go away and let Spirit read this card now so that I don't have an opinion on how annoying this card is. Because how can you not be annoyed with this king who's kind, compassionate, caring, loving, blah, 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 blah. The greatest thing since the bee's knees. Which, what's that about the bee's knees? Like, where does that come from? I need to look up the etymology of bee's knees. Anyway, he's the greatest, but he doesn't say anything. He's silent. He's holds his emotions in his cup and sips it himself and doesn't share and doesn't pour it out. He doesn't like to cause conflict. He has deep feelings, but he's unwilling to express them because he doesn't want to cause any issues. Ironically, not expressing them causes issues. I'm just saying. Okay. But overall, he's thinking of himself this way. I'm a sensitive person. I am a compassionate person. But I have a lot of responsibility. And even though I have these deep feelings, it is my duty and my obligation as a husband protector energy to keep that to myself. However, the feeling or the thought he has in the back of his mind that like won't let up, that's the Death card. So he is really underlying all his thoughts is this persistent idea of transformation, death, and rebirth. Something dying, wanting to rebirth something. So the masculine, if he wants to kill anything, I would guess he wants to kill this part of himself that finds it extremely difficult to express his emotions. Now, before you get pissed off at him, I want you to understand that this is not a person. It is you. This is you. And you're like, but I do express my feelings. I'm sure you intellectualize the fuck out of your feelings. Everybody who's in my collective is pretty fucking smart. And I'm pretty sure that you think a lot about your feelings. And I'm sure you even cherry pick the feelings with which you are comfortable expressing. Like you're like, oh, this one's okay. Oh, this person, I can express this. Oh, I'm on YouTube. I can feel this or say this or do this. And that is not emotional availability, my friend. That is That is controlling, which this King of Cups energy. Thank you so much for the gifts and the hearts I'm getting over here on TikTok. This is the energy of control. This is someone who controls their emotions. They control what they say so that they don't disrupt anybody. This is a people pleaser. And you are this person too. This is not a mystery like, oh, why do I attract a person like that? It's because you do this too. You cherry pick what you're willing to express. You intellectualize your feelings. You justify them. You give them logic. And the reason you do this is not because there's something inherently wrong with you. The reason you do this is because there's something inherently wrong with society. And that is the oppression of the feminine energy, the weakness that is perceived to come from emotion and compassion. Why would that be perceived as weak? Well, in a society that functions entirely on the raping and pillaging of others, having compassion for them would not be very helpful. In fact, the more you can emotionally detach from the people that you are abusing and using so that you can have the things that you want to have. And before you point a finger and start talking about how it's everyone else who's doing this, I want you to look at the device you're using to watch this video, because that device was created by people who suffered to make it. And they were not paid living wages. And they were not given health care and all of the lovely things that they would be required to give if they were in a society that had compassion. So you partake of the fruits of this society. You engage in it. It is part of who you are. And so you can't exempt yourself from it, but you're not supposed to just be guilty about it. You're supposed to forgive yourself. And the full offering of an apology goes like this: I am sorry. It is my fault. What can I do to make it up to you? And please forgive me. But that third component, what can I do to make it up to you? That requires action. And if you don't take action, then you are not honoring the feminine compassion that you have. And if you feel overwhelmed and you don't know what action to take, that's totally fine, totally understandable. And all you have to do is express that you don't know what to do and find a way to do something. Rather 10, 22 people in the room right now, rather than expressing or rather than withholding the feeling of your emotions so that it doesn't overwhelm you. So the masculine energy is the energy within you. Now, you probably see this expressed externally in your person, and it's probably magnified because you're holding a magnifying glass up to it. And you're blaming this person for how they're treating you and how they're acting and how they're behaving. And you're not really understanding that they are merely acting, first of all, human, and second of all, just like you. And here, sometimes I get a backlash where people are like, well, I don't cheat on people and I don't do this and that. And to that, I say, congratulations. I'm glad that you do not do that to people. That is wonderful that you have that trait, that you are not hurting people in that way. But there is probably a point in your life where you actually are doing that. You are cheating on yourself. You are cheating on your dreams. The biggest one, biggest example I have is there's probably something that you want to do that's a creative endeavor that does not necessarily equate itself to making a lot of money. And whatever that thing is, you really want to do it with all of your heart and soul. You want to be committed to it. You want to give it everything you have. But you know what? It's hard. It's really hard to do it. Society makes it difficult. There's all these temptations in the way. There's this fear that you're not going to have enough or be able to give enough. You might not make enough money to survive. And so you cheat on your passion. You go to another easier, faster source of financial abundance, which is always in your mind because you think to yourself, oh, an hourly wage is going to be easier to get than if I commit to my passions. Because if I do that, I have to trust. I have to trust that my passion is going to be faithful to me and that the universe is going to provide for me. I can't control that, and that makes me feel of control. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this because this is easier. It's easier to believe money is going to come to me through this pathway. So I will not put my whole commitment into what I want to do at this time because I have to have more money first, more security, in order to do that. Does that sound familiar? Because that's what the person in your life is doing with you. And so that's why if you're mad at your person, if you're resentful at your person, if you don't understand, if you can't get it into your head, why is this happening? What is happening? It is simply because it is part of your nature to be afraid and to doubt and to have to trust in yourself and believe in yourself. And when you can do that, you can attract people who can do that too. Okay, that was a long intro for the masculine's headspace, but he apparently is learning this lesson. He's got to let that part of himself die that is unwilling to be emotionally available. For as long as he continues to be emotionally unavailable, he will be by himself, stoically obligated to keep silent. And he doesn't want to be that way. So the first thing on his mind is the Page of Wands. And this is good because he wants to initiate communication of some kind. He wants to make some kind of a gesture or have an idea or explore the initial phases of communication. Now, this is falling in the past placement. What's up, babes? Did you hear that? That was Bowie. She was growling. What? Are you growling over that? I get it. So this is in the past placement for me. So this is what he has been doing. Likely, the masculine energy has been flirting with the feminine side. So if you're looking at your person, then this is him doing the indirect communication stuff or, the fits and starts, like just starting a little bit, but not following through. If you're looking at this in regards to your passion that you have, whatever creative endeavor that you have, this is you kind of doing it a little bit, exploring it, being curious about it, but not actually going into that Knight of Wands energy and just passionately going for it. Just being exploring, which is the first stage. There's nothing wrong with this. Is you have to initiate something, right? You have to start something. So the masculine headspace, the first thing on his mind is, I need to get this started. The second thing on his mind, which is the current energy, is I have to do this correctly. This is the Knight of Swords. Now, the Knight of Swords is a very different energy from the Knight of Wands. And it's interesting because we were told that this is what we need. Now, look what the masculine thinks he needs. Whereas the universe is like, no, buddy, this is what you need. And he's like, oh, that didn't work out for me before. And the universe is like, well, that's because you were doing this. But now we're going to be doing this. And when you're doing this is what you're actually going to need to move forward in your situation, right? But the masculine energy right now in his head, even because he hasn't watched my reading yet, and he doesn't know, oh, I actually need to do this. He thinks he needs to do this. He thinks he needs to come forward correctly, communicate the truth as swiftly as possible. But he must follow a strategy or a plan. What's up, Buttercup? He must follow some kind of a strategy that's implemented by the Queen of Swords. In other words, he has to have someone tell him what to do. Queen of Swords happens to be a feminine energy. So he is expecting divine feminine to tell him what to do. That's so funny. And that's why the universe is like, you don't need this feminine to tell you what to do. First of all, she's told you what to do 100 million times. You just didn't want to do it because it involved this. It involved going after your passion with all the fire of your being and not being afraid that you need to have some kind of a perfectly thought out strategy to do it. So in this current moment, he's like, I want to tell the truth, but I have to figure out how to do it. And I think the divine feminine is going to tell me. I suppose if he watches my readings, then that's kind of true. ... to infinity. The next position we have is the Star card in reverse and another page energy. Here I see an apology for keeping feminine energy hidden, for not expressing his feminine side of self, for not fully tuning into the healing that was awaiting him if he would allow himself to be vulnerable in this star energy. And also, this is just putting divine feminine up on a pedestal. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I got a pearl. Yay. I've never seen, no one's ever given me a pearl on TikTok before. That's so fun. So we're seeing him be sorry about keeping this divine feminine a secret, keeping it hidden, and also putting her on a pedestal. Because if you put someone on a pedestal, it makes it really difficult to approach them. You think that you have to approach them in a certain type of way. You're not just really embracing that this person is just you. Like you're just a goof, and they're just a goof too. And instead, you're seeing them as this like, I mean, I know I'm a goddess. Look at me. I get it. I understand why you would make this mistake of thinking that I was perfect in every way, like Mary Poppins style. But alas, I have a few flaws. Just embrace them, okay? Just embrace the flaws. All right. So the divine masculine is seeking to apologize to the feminine for having done this because he understands that in doing this, and it's funny that you should have brought that oyster animation to the TikTok because that oyster animation is so perfect because there's something inside of the oyster that a piece of sand, a piece of debris that irritates it, and it forms this protective layer around this irritant, okay? And it just keeps secreting this fluid, which is so interesting, that forms over time a pearl. And some pearls are perfectly round and others are not. There's different shapes of pearls. Um, as humans seem to covet things that are quote unquote perfect, we tend to covet the very round, perfect pearl. Um, but there are all shapes and sizes, and they are all precious. And they all did the same thing. There was something within the masculine that the feminine triggered, which was irritating, honestly, because he had to face some kind of a wound inside of himself. And that irritant caused him to start protecting himself. He started to have to protect. It's funny. It's like this thing that was bothering him. He needed to protect himself from it. So he put up layer after layer after layer after layer. Eventually, he realizes what is created is actually precious to him because what is he has created is someone who is able to be safe no matter how he's triggered, which is the end result of the twin flame journey. The end result of the twin flame journey isn't like, oh, we never trigger each other. It's we're safe when we do because we've learned how to communicate. We've learned to give ourselves our own validation and fulfillment. We don't seek it outside of self. So we're not putting that responsibility on someone else. So the divine masculine is really wanting to apologize and profess his true love for the feminine who he has kept hidden. In the past placement, clarifying this Page of Wands energy, we are getting the moon, and it was transverse. When the moon comes out transverse for me, or any card comes out this way, it means it is here nor there. So it is in a state of flux or flow, or it's something that you're kind of on the fence about. You're not sure of, you're not certain about it. So he has been, and again, that's where I'm getting the flirting energy. So this is most likely a telepathic communication with the divine feminine, the dream space, fantasy, subconscious stuff that's going on deep within him. But it's also about revealing those secrets because we saw that he is wanting to apologize for keeping the feminine hidden. So he has been flirting with finally illuminating or revealing the feminine, the deep emotions that we know he's feeling as this King of Cups energy. So he's been working on that. That's why you've been seeing a little bit, not a lot. Maybe you haven't seen any communication at all, but you might have seen like indirect actions or something that indicated to you that he's like trying to feel out what it would be like to express all of his emotions. 10:33 on the clock, something like that. But there's not been this full commitment to it. It's just been this inconsistent, indirect stuff. And clarifying this come correct type of a card, which is funny because all the feminines are demanding that the masculine come correct, and the universe is demanding that he just come in and sweep you off your feet, that he doesn't need to follow a strategy or a plan. He doesn't need to follow your conditions. Your conditions are not important because this is an unconditional relationship. And you know that is true because no matter what, you keep returning to that person. That's unconditional love. Now, we rarely have that for ourselves, which is why we are greeted with this individual who is perplexing to us. We were like, why do I keep forgiving this person for being an asshole? And the response is because if you don't forgive somebody for being an asshole, how are you going to forgive yourself? Who's going to forgive you if you don't believe that people are redeemable? If you don't believe in the story of the prodigal son. One time I said prodigal son in a TikTok video, and somebody said that the prodigal is about um somebody who squanders their inheritance or their money. And I was like, I know that it comes from the story of the prodigal son, where there's two sons and one goes and squanders his inheritance. The other does just what he's supposed to do. And then the one that went off and squandered the inheritance comes back with his tail between his legs. And the father throws a huge celebration. And the other brother is like, the fuck? I've been here the whole time working my ass off, doing everything you asked me to do, and you receive this person like as if it were me, as me that has done all these things. You just receive them that way. And the father turns to his son and he's like, of course, you're my son, you're my child, so is he. And the fact that he's returned to me after he has gone off and failed, that makes me happy because he's come home to me. I love him. I am his true home. This is our true home, and you're always deserving of being forgiven. And that's the lesson of that. And so you have to have that lesson in your life. You have to experience that so that you can believe that no matter what, you are forgiven by that energy. And I didn't even talk about the Seven of Wands when I was saying that. But so this is an energy of defensiveness, of being guarded, of fighting off other energies, of standing your ground. We talk about it, about fighting for the connection. And so there is this way that the divine masculine is mentalizing right now that is making him think that he has to fight for this connection. He has to fight to tell the truth of it. And he has to have a strategy or a plan with which to do that. Okay. So he is mistaken because this is an illusion. The Seven of Wands, there's nobody holding these wands. You're like, get away from me. And there's nobody here. You are putting these wands here. These are your ideas, your conceptions. The wands are about like the spiritual, they're about ideas, creativity, etc. So you've created obstacles for yourself that are perfectly designed for you to learn how to strengthen your resolve and your convictions so that you can do what you want. What comes after the Seven of Wands? The Eight of Wands, which is communication. Clarifying the Star in reverse and the Page of Cups, where the divine masculine wants to apologize for being so secretive about the feminine, for hiding his emotions and feelings, for oppressing the feminine within him. We have the Five of Swords and the Page of Pentacles. So the divine masculine is surrendering. The Five of Swords is about a mental conflict, something that just makes you want to give up. And the Page of Pentacles keeps coming out for the masculines in the readings, and it's usually this feeling of like, I'm a loser, like thinking of himself as small, chump change, etc., small gestures, whatever. But what we're seeing here is that he is finally surrendering to the idea that the divine feminine might think that his offer of true love is enough. That even though it is a small thing, it is enough because he is always enough. Instead of thinking of himself as a loser, because we kept seeing this card come out in reverse, he is starting to see that he really is giving the feminine something to consider. Simply just this true love in and of itself is worthy of her consideration. And that's a big step for the masculine's headspace, I might add. So we had Page of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and the Page of Wands in the headspace, which is indicating to me that the divine masculine is really thinking in new ways. He's not thinking in old ways, but he's also in the early stages of moving to this next phase in his life. He's just starting out, in other words. All right, now that it's 30 minutes in, we're starting the heart space. This is going to be a long reading today, just so you know. So the heart space is, oh my God, I didn't realize it. This is the Uncommon Tarot, and this is the Ethereal Visions Tarot, and this is the same card. The outcome in the headspace is the overall feeling of the heart space. It is the Page of Pentacles, upright. This is about analyzing the offer, about considering something. And in both cases, we have a feminine energy that is considering this pentacle. Now, the pentacle that she holds is the Ace of Pentacles, which is the seed that is planted in the Seven of Pentacles that grows into the abundance of the Eight of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles and finally the 10. So it's not a small thing. It's actually quite a large thing. But the masculine is always worried about size. Clearly, he didn't get the memo on that one. Dot, dot, dot. Size matters in his mind, but right now he is embracing in his heart space that it's enough just to have this offer, no matter how small. It's just this initial, like, new offer. And of course, that energy was clarifying the King of Cups. So this is finally offering something of that emotion, even if it's just a small start. Clarifying the Death card, we have the Hanged Man in reverse. So we can see what he wants to end. He wants to end this feeling of suspension, of pause, and of waiting. He definitely wants that to end. And he wants the transformation to ensue and this connection to be reborn. But the Hanged Man energy is about finally having perspective. And so we're getting a sense here that he is realizing that it is his own insecurity that has caused this stagnation in the connection. His own, that the feminine has never once said to him, "You are not enough. You do not bring enough to the table." What she has said is, "You do not show up enough. You do not communicate enough." Those are two different things. You are enough. It is your failure to communicate that makes it impossible for me to go forward with you into any union. It is not because you are lacking somehow. It is because you do not believe enough in your worthiness to speak up. And that's not the same as thinking that you're not enough. It's really not. And the masculine is really starting to embrace this perspective and change his thinking about himself, which is how we saw that he's now like, wait a minute, true love is enough. It really is. Not expressing true love turns into a whole lot of nothing, but the element there, that is enough. Love conquers all. Love is real. Love is all, right? For those of you that are giving comments, gifts, and likes, thank you so much. I usually don't have time to see them until like at the end, and I just go back and read them. So I do appreciate you interacting with the live on both YouTube and TikTok. So thank you for that. Let's continue. So we're looking at the masculine side of self, which we will then see reflected back to us in our person. And we're now going to be continuing to look at the heart space right now. We have here the Page of Wands, and it is being clarified by the Fool. And I couldn't be happier about this. This is a beautiful depiction of the Fool from the Uncommon Tarot. It is a feminine energy. I don't know if you can see that. And she is leaning and looking off of that cliff. So we see that he has been hesitating to make this fresh start. And I'm really excited about the next card. So we see him in his heart space, even though he has only something small to offer right now, only this small material gesture. He's realizing it is something, it is worth it. This thought that he needs to come forward, be correct, tell the truth, follow some strategy. This is being clarified in the heart space with the Star, which was clarifying the card on the other side. And it is upright. So we're seeing a correction happening in his heart. His head doesn't feel capable of that vulnerability. His heart is absolutely capable. And in fact, this deck uses a masculine energy in this role. We never see a masculine energy in the Star card. It is almost always depicted as a feminine. So this is very significant. His own vulnerability, he is realizing, causing the feminine to be the person who processes his emotions. This has allowed him to remain in a state where he doesn't 1044 have to be vulnerable, right? and he is releasing this. He is no longer requiring the feminine to do the vulnerability for him. Now he is able to do this for himself. He is willing to be truthful, even though it's going to expose him. He wants to have his wishes, and he's realizing he can't have his wishes unless he risks that vulnerability. And this is what you have to understand when you're about to put artwork of your own into the world. You cannot do that without risking vulnerability. Like, you have to be vulnerable in order to do it. And if you haven't been able to tap into your creativity or put your creative, the things that you make or create into the world, it is because you are unwilling to be vulnerable. You're unwilling to risk not having things work the way that you expected them to, or turn out the way that you expected them to. So you protect yourself from vulnerability, just like the masculine. And that's why you can't hold any resentment towards him, because he's doing exactly what you do. Clarifying this star in reverse and this page of cups, we are seeing the 8 of coins. Again, we are seeing a different energy. Normally we'll see a masculine in this card, but we are seeing a feminine energy, and it's the work that she is doing, and it is what she is creating. And so there is an apology here about sort of not honoring how much of a star the divine feminine is, putting her on a pedestal, but then not sharing that with others. I'm thinking now, as my ego is here for a minute, about my own story, where my person is literally a star, and I am a musician and have sought to be that. And my person could easily have highlighted my gifts and has never done so. And how that has been painful to experience, feeling like unworthy of being like, he will literally like choose other artists that he will get behind, and I will just sit there like, are you fucking serious? Is this a financial decision? Like, am I just not going to garner you enough money for you to promote me in terms of these other people? But it's not about that. My masculine doesn't have that. I know that he does not sitting there thinking like, ha ha ha, I don't want my feminine to be successful. He's just afraid to let others know that I am his feminine, which means that my work has gone unseen by many in the industry who could have promoted it and helped me in my career. And so there's sorrow here for not really letting the feminine shine, not letting the work that she does in the world be in the open, because it's embarrassing in some way to him, because he has to be vulnerable when it's exposed. Like, for instance, my music, my lyrics, this job, tarot. Like, if you were a fan of my DM and then you went back through my YouTube for the last 2 years, you would have information about how he treated me. You would know what this person, this celebrity, actually did. He would have to be exposed and vulnerable to how that affected me. So there is that reluctance on the masculine part that has prevented him from honoring the feminine. And this is what he wants to apologize for, because he really does feel that the feminine has done all of this work that is significant and created these beautiful things. And he feels her devotion to him, and he wants to have that same feeling of devotion that he has for his work, for the work he needs to do to come into alignment with the feminine. The moon card that was transverse is being clarified by the emperor. The emperor is upright. So I know that this is not him feeling the shadow of himself. He's actually feeling how he hid from himself his own power, that in controlling his emotions, he was actually withholding his own power. He is starting to understand that in order to be an emperor, you must lead with your heart just as much as your head. And he is realizing how significant this connection with the feminine is, and how much it does really give him that sense of himself, that authentic self, to have the feminine energy in the same kind of position of power within him as he gives his intellect, his mindset, etc. He's also probably got a lot of sexual desire that is hidden or buried or contained. in order for him to be able to rule or do the work he needs to do. Bowie's going after her bone right now to emphasize that. Go in, Bowie. The Seven of Wands is being clarified by the Hermit energy. So I do see this as a feminine, and the masculine right now is interpreting the feminine as blocking him or being alone or having a guard up against him. And he's aware that it's mirroring his own behavior, that he's the one who actually put the barrier up. He's the one who put the boundary up. He's the one who insisted upon the isolation, the separation. And he's realizing that he did it to himself. I'm hearing the Radiohead song. You do it to yourself, you do. And that's what really hurts, right? You do it to yourself, just you and no one else. So he's basically fought to protect himself to the point where he is now alone, and he is having to watch the divine feminine protect herself from him and be completely alone. Now, being alone isn't a bad thing. The Hermit energy is about doing that soul searching. And what it was clarifying is the star. So, and the star is the light that's in the lantern. So in this case, we have a role reversal where we would normally have a masculine energy following the light of the star. We now have a feminine energy following the light of the star. And the star is represented by the masculine energy. So there's been this role reversal that's happened, and the masculine is now acutely aware that the situation has changed. Holy shit! What did I say about the Seven of Wands? I said the Seven of Wands, once you realize this is an illusion, you're able to move to the Eight of Wands. And the Eight of Wands is communication, going with the flow. It's fast-moving energy. And it is clarifying the Five of Swords and the Page of Pentacles. So he is surrendering to the fact that if he does not want to remain alone, then he can't leave the feminine alone. He has to actually communicate. And it has to be in the material. He's surrendering to that. He is defeated. He has arrived at a place where the feminine is not going to consider anything except for a material world gesture. She will accept nothing less than that. So he is now feeling that he must communicate, and it must be a material world gesture. What does this mean for you and your creative endeavor? This means that you have recognized that you have been blocking yourself by keeping all of your creativity within, by going it alone, by not asking for help, by not like right now, I want to do a tour, and I started doing all the things I needed to do, and realized that it was an incredible amount of stuff that I can't do by myself. And I do not like to admit that at all. I do not want to admit that I need upwards of $10,000, that I need somebody to do the promoting for each city, that I need somebody to book me for each city, that it's not just me sending an email and having worked in this industry for 20 fucking years and being extraordinarily talented and have all this like clout and still have no ability to get a show at a stupid fucking stingy ass venue. And I don't want to admit that. I want to be able to do it myself. But rather than ask for help, I will just not do it. I will just give up because I don't want to start small again. You know how many times I've started small? Like I said to my friend, if I have to go back and do fucking open mic nights, I'm done. I give up. I'm not doing that. I already worked so hard to get where I am. And I deserve more than that because of my experience, because of the time I put in. Look at the emotion coming up from that. So there is this feeling here of being like, if I want what I want, then I have to start small. I have to go do open mic nights again. And it's up to me. I can either go do that and hope that I'm able to get a promoter to book me at bigger venues, or I can give up and not do music, which is what I've always wanted to do. So the masculine is right there. He's got to communicate. He's got to ask for help. He's got to come forward. He's got to take that small step, even though he doesn't want to, even though he doesn't want to have to ask for help. He doesn't want to have to admit that he was wrong or that he can't do some things by himself. Oh my God, Bowie, can you do that on the bed? You're being so loud. He does what I love how she did, like, quiet down. Like, I can't. She's so smart. Anyway, that's the masculine side of self. Don't go away, because your person is not just a masculine energy. They're also a feminine energy. And if you want to know how they're feeling, if you want to know what their emotional state is like, then you should probably tune into this. Also, if you don't value your own emotions and your own feelings, then you know exactly the work that you need to do in order to heal yourself, because you absolutely need to value your emotions and feelings, and tune into them and be aware of them in order for you to progress and to be able to come into union. So let's get into it. Divine Feminine, we are looking at the overall thoughts on your mind in your headspace. We're using the Cosmic Tarot for your headspace today. And it's the Six of Cups, and it's in reverse. And so 10:55 on the clock, you are really wanting to release the past. You are absolutely wanting to let go of the past. You do not want to hold on to it anymore. You're sick of it. You don't want to think about it anymore. You just want to gouge your freaking eyes out. You don't feel innocent or blissful when you think about it. It just makes you feel frustrated and resentful. And you just want to release all of those feelings, all the poison of the past. Just let it go and no longer focus on it. There might be a specific past connection, a person that you just don't want to think about anymore. You're so tired of thinking about them. It doesn't help you. You know it doesn't help you. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help anyone. And you're freaking so sick of it. That is the overwhelming feeling of the headspace right now. Here's the only page we were missing from the masculine side. It is in the back of your mind. The problem is that you keep looking at the past, because the Page of Wands energy the Page of Swords energy is twofold. It's about curiosity. It's about bravery and courage, because you don't quite know how to do something and you're just starting out and having to learn how to do something. And it's about watching and spying and just looking before you're actually doing anything. So Divine Feminine is aware that the masculine is watching her, and it's one from her past. She's aware. He's trying in my case, but there's nothing to watch because I don't post anymore, which, by the way, is incredibly liberating. The only thing I've been posting is this work that I do. And I stopped posting anything to my social media because I needed a break from the feeling of being watched, whatever I was doing, with no consequence. And what's interesting is I think I haven't posted anything personal in almost 3 weeks, and no one noticed. No one asked me. My sister, who follows me on both my accounts, my sister was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" She's like the only person who realized that I wasn't doing that. There's not a single other friend who said like, "Hey, I noticed like you're not posting anything. Everything okay with you? You're totally fine. You fine?" Nobody did. And instead of being like wounded by that, I was like, "Oh, I wasn't posting for anybody except for my masculine." I really wasn't. There was no one else in my life that was like having a burning desire to see what I was doing. That was my own narcissism. And it didn't serve me because it had no consequence for my life to post those things. It's about creating an image of who I am and what I'm doing. I'm a pretty genuine person. I don't like stage my life moments and put them online. I'm genuinely posting what was happening in my life, but it wasn't for anybody. It wasn't for anyone. It was not even for me, because after I stopped doing it, I'm like, "Oh my God, that was exhausting." I don't need to be like, "Oh, let me get my phone. Oh, let me capture this moment." Instead, I'm just playing with my dog. I'm like enjoying it with the people that are around. I'm like going where I want to go and doing what I want to do and not wondering what my person is thinking about it. But that doesn't mean I'm not looking at my person or going to try to spy on what he's doing or continuing to look at the past. And the problem is, if you keep looking at the past, you keep creating the past. There's just no way around that. In a way, I'm liberating my masculine from repeating the past with me, because he can no longer just keep engaging the way he was engaging before. So he's liberated from our past means of contact. I still have the same, I can go still see what he's doing. I can see like, and while I may not do that as much, I still do it. And so there's that with the feminine. She wants to let go, but she can't stop watching it. It's like a car crash. You just can't look away. This is the first thing on her mind. The Empress in reverse. This bitch is tired of waiting. This bitch is ready to give birth. She doesn't want to wait anymore. And this is in the past placement. So this has been going on for so fucking long. It's like, you know, have you ever seen the videos of like mothers in their last trimester? I'm sorry if that's triggering for all women right now, but for mothers who chose willingly to be in their last trimester because it was their decision to bring life into the world, because that is the power of the female. And I know that you don't like that power, but that is our power. And that's why you need guns, because you have to feel like you can take life out of the world because you can't bring life into the world. So fuck you. Anyway, I'm just saying that. Anyway, when you see a woman who chooses to be in her last trimester and is joyfully in her last trimester, and there's videos of her like dancing and doing all this kind of shit because the baby is not coming, like it's late, it's not on time, it's like a week past due or whatever, and they're like, just get this out of me, like just please. My baby was on time, but even that last week where I was like, where he dropped down. And, you know, I was like, it feels like he's going to fall out. And my ex-husband is like, I think you would be happy if he just fell out. I feel like it wouldn't be, you know, like you might want that to happen. So like, maybe don't resist that. Like, so the feminine is literally there, and she's been there. She's been doing all of the dances and doing all the things to encourage that baby to finally be born. And it's really physically draining and exhausting to bring life into the world. And she's gestated and gestated and gestated, and she's like, can I just please have this music career? Can I just please finish my record? Can I just please see the culmination of this relationship that I've been nurturing myself to be prepared for? Can I just fucking see it? And the current energy says no, because the Lovers is in reverse. No, you can't. It's there, but you can't see it. It's there, but you can't have it. It's there, but it doesn't matter. And this is so frustrating for the feminine. It's been this frustrating feeling of having the Lovers card appear in the current energy of the spread, but have it be just out of reach. This is also, in some cases, because of the next card that's coming, in some cases, this is about a maternal energy that's distorted. This is the controlling behavior, the overbearing behavior. And there is an acknowledgement here that the divine feminine's distorted behavior, her overbearing nature, her overprotective nature, has actually prevented her from finding love. Or there is an overbearing feminine energy that is affecting her ability to come into union. What are you doing? You're being very funny. What are you doing? Lay down. Lay down. Lay down, please. Thank you. Good girl. And the next card that's coming up is the Three of Cups. Now, I would be remiss if I don't acknowledge that there are some feminines thinking about their person's ex-wife or mother and the effect it has had on their ability to come into union. They're the third party that's involved, because this is a collective reading. There are some people that are still at that phase with their masculine where there is a third party. I want to emphasize, though, that there are many who are no longer in that phase, and there is no one in between them that isn't career, behavior, job, mindset, etc. There's not actually a person. There is this overprotecting, overbearing energy that is the third party for some. That's not like actually a physical person in the real world. And sometimes the physical person in the real world just represents, not sometimes, always, the physical person in the real world represents the energy of the union. If there's an overbearing, controlling, feminine energy that is physically manifest in your life or in your person's life, then it is coming from some part of you that really needs to control, is overbearing, is overprotective, and you are seeing it reflected back to you so you can shift and change that behavior. But this is in my position of what will follow the current energy. If Divine Feminine is tired of waiting and lets go of whatever relationship is not culminating and just lets it go, just is like, you know what? It's not happening. No matter what I do, I can't get this past connection to work. I saw this video last night on TikTok of a reader that is one of my friends that said, imagine that you're at the store and there's a self-checkout line and a regular line to go through. And in the self-checkout line, you go and you have 3 items, and there's a couple people in front of you if you had stayed in the regular line, but you didn't want to wait, so you decided to go over and just check yourself out. You start to do it and the machine doesn't work and you have to ask for help. And the person comes over and they help you. At this point, the 2 people that were in front of you, they've already finished. They've already gone and done their thing. They got the help they needed, but you're determined to do this yourself. So you're just like, okay, they fix it, then they walk away, and then your credit card doesn't work in the machine, and you're like, oh my God, it's not working. And then finally, you just have to go through the regular line like everyone else. There's been 5 or 6 people that have gone through before you, and now when you're finally willing to accept help, when you're finally willing to not control the situation and not have to do it yourself and just let someone else do it, it just goes like this. You're all done, and you can leave. You're done. You're done. You don't have to do it anymore. But there is this overbearing, controlling energy within the feminine that she wants to just get it done herself. You know, I'm hearing my own mother that would be like, well, I'll just do it myself, right? If you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. Like there's that kind of a feeling. And that's the third party in between the 2 sides of self. Because if you don't work with the other side of yourself, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay. Like I can't ignore the emotions behind trying to book myself. If I ignore the fact that I am butt sore and hurt and wounded, that I have to beg to be allowed to perform and make money for these people also that they're not really going to give me. Like if I don't deal with the emotion that comes from that and I push it down, then I'm not going to be able to overcome that obstacle, and it's going to keep getting in my way. I have to feel all the feelings associated with that. And then I have to say, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway. Right? That's the only way you're going to arrive in this reunion energy. It's the only way you're going to unite with the thing that you desire. What is clarifying this Empress in reverse, not surprisingly, is the 2 of Cups in reverse. The Lovers in reverse and the 2 of Cups, the physical union that you've been trying so hard to make work. And the universe is like, will you please get out of the self-checkout line and that broken ass machine that's over there and get into the line where I will process what you desire and send you with it along on your way. Let me do it. This is not going to be on your timeline. It's going to be on mine. And mine is swifter and simpler and easier. And there's somebody there that's going to smile at you while they're doing it because you're probably at Trader Joe's. And those people are fucking nice. So let them do it then. Like, let the universe actually do it. And that's what we're seeing happen here. The Lovers in reverse and the 6 of Swords. Bye. This relationship isn't working. The one I am forcing, the person I'm insisting is my twin flame, over and over to your friendly reader. But he's my twin, but he's my twin, but he's my twin, which is here. Bowie, Bowie, get over here. Get that out of your mouth. What is your deal? Go lay down. Being a pill today. My gosh, usually she's so well behaved. The 6 of Swords is leaving this relationship that doesn't work behind. This is the troubled waters. and you want to leave it. You want to move on. You want to run away. But this is what you always do. And then you accuse the masculine of doing it. But it's the feminine side of self that is doing it. The feminine side is running away rather than just get in the checkout line and wait for the person to help you check out. You're just like, I'm leaving this store. I'm going to put my shit down and I'm going to go to a different store and I'm going to find better stuff that has a self checkout machine that actually works. You should have stayed at Trader Joe's. It's nice there. Everybody's friendly. Their produce is meh, but all the other stuff they make is literally the best stuff ever. But it's easier to just run away. It's easier to just push off, to just go to another shore, to move back to a different coast and start again. Like, I'm guilty of this. Everybody does this. So that's the current energy. You've been like, well, I can't get this to work, so I'm leaving now for no reason. If you're a Futurama fan, you'll get that joke. I'm leaving now for no reason. Okay. Where do you go, though, when you do that? This is the Five of Pentacles. This is poverty consciousness. This is being out in the cold, feeling impoverished, feeling a lack of love, feeling a lack of affection. It's separation from the one that you want to be united with. You're actually not united with them. And the feeling of the universe is taking too long, though, that's exactly this. The universe is taking too long because you keep trying to control it. It's not taking too long. You're making it take too long. First of all, you're focused on it. This is a watched pot that's boiling on the stove. That watched pot is going to take the exact amount of time that physics requires for water to boil. And I bet there's evidence that if you actually watch a pot boiling, your energetic projection probably does increase the speed of it boiling. But it wouldn't seem like it because you're focused on it, which means exactly what you already know. You can't stop thinking and watching this person. And that's why it's taking too long, because you keep looking for it to happen. And every time you do that, you're saying, I don't trust you. I don't believe it's going to happen. And then the universe is like, okay. It's 11:11 right now on the clock. And you're like, but, and the universe is like, you said you don't trust me. So you don't believe it. So can't happen. The universe isn't doing anything. You're doing it. It's your perception of how long it's taking. It's the idea that you know when the best time something is supposed to happen for you. Because if I said that the universe was taking too long to give me what I wanted, then I would have gotten it, I don't know, 8 years ago. And I would have gotten somebody who was still married. I would have had an affair with them. I would have gotten somebody who was still addicted to a bunch of shit. Apparently had multiple sexual partners, which was not something that I thought that person had at that time. They would have still been enmeshed in a really restrictive belief system. They would have literally been a danger to me, a physical danger to me for many reasons I can't go into. Who would I have been 8 years ago? Oh my God. I would not wish that version of myself on a healthy individual. I wouldn't want them to have to deal with my narcissism and my emotional manipulation and my emotional unavailability and all of the exact same problems that that person had 8 years ago. So if the universe did shit on my timeline, I would have even worse experience because I don't have all of these memories of how we treated each other so badly when we were in that behavior. I don't have memories of that because my person has never done anything like that to me. My person has only withheld communication from me. They have not cheated on me in a committed relationship. They have not said horrible things to me. They have not like done any of the things that they could have and likely would have done if we were both unhealed. Your timeline in your ego's mind is not the correct timeline. Your ego is designed, it wanted you to be in a relationship before you were ready because it knows how to handle that. That's what it's always done. That's what it's always done. The devil you know is always better than the devil you don't. So it would have been like, let's get together with this energy. Obviously, it's going to be a perfect relationship where we're gonna feel like shit about one another, and that's what I understand the best, and I know how to deal with it, and I'll survive every single incident because I've survived those horrible things before. So if those horrible things keep happening, at least I'll know what the hell is going on and I'll know how to handle it. But your brain is designed to survive, not to thrive. Let's go to the heart space. Let's see if the heart space can help the feminine's headspace, because this feminine headspace right now is not the best. The overall feeling of the heart space is not surprising to me. It's the Nine of Wands in reverse, and it's clarifying the Six of Cups. The problem with the Nine of Wands in reverse is that you're resisting deep healing, and you're resisting isolation. You are resisting being alone. You are feeling frustrated at having to be alone. You are feeling pain at having to be alone because you are interpreting being alone on your own as being impoverished in the Five of Pentacles. You are feeling the lack of being alone instead of feeling how you are not ever alone. You are not alone. And no matter what you do, you will never be alone. And it's not just because this person is holding a candle for you somewhere. It's because the universe is always conscious of you, as you are always conscious of the universe, even if you may deny it. Now, the story in this house, in this card, this is from the Tarot of the Divine. And it's a Russian fairy tale. It's what's her name? Oh, her name is escaping my mind right now. It's like it begins with a B. I can't think of it. But her house is, she's like a witch and her house is on like chicken legs. It's like a really bizarre tale. And the feminine is a prisoner here. So interestingly, it's like being trapped in this prison of your mind, which I usually associate with the Eight of Wands, or I mean the Eight of Swords. But in this case, that's the unhealed part. The unhealed, you've not fully healed from your past. You are allowing your past to to hold you back. Do you know the majority of the people who come to me, they're not really focused on the person they're supposed to be with. I'm pretty sure of that. The cards that I pull for them, the feeling that I have when I do the readings, many of you are focused on a past person who is designed to show you how little you care for yourself, how unworthy you feel. And the true like person that you're meant to be with, it's not that person that you're focused on. It really isn't. If you can like release that idea or that concept that there is a perfect person and that this person is perfect and you don't want any other people, that is what keeps you from healing. There is something in you that is in a state of lack. You think there are no other choices or options because, and maybe you're like, well, there aren't any. Like I can say right now, like, where are my options? Like, I'm not seeing them. And it's and it's because I'm still looking at the old option. And even if I'm right about it, even if the person I'm looking at that is my person by some narrow chance, that person is my person, let's just say, I'm still looking at the old version of our relationship. I'm still seeing the same patterns. I'm still observing and talking about it in the same way, which means I am not healing from the past. This is a big issue for the feminine, and it's causing this, the Three of Swords, the painful separation, which is an illusion. Swords are not real. They are not truly implements of violence. They are the nervous system. They are just your thoughts in your head. And it is this reluctance to really embrace the truth. And this idea that you have to wait for a decision to be made for you by this masculine to be brave enough to come forward. It's causing you pain. It's causing you to feel like somebody messaged today in the TikTok comments that their person didn't want them. If only it was about that. If only it was about a person not wanting you. It's not. But when you're still thinking about it like that, it's just showing that there is a much deeper wound here that you have to heal. And when you heal the wound, that's when you're going to see change. You're not going to see change before that wound is healed. It's just not going to happen. You have to pull the sword out so that the healing can begin. And the divine feminine has been really resisting that. She's not really wanting to face the truth. She's not wanting to face the painful feelings that some of her behaviors cause her to have these problems. And she is constantly looking and seeing separation, which is why I stopped looking at my masculine energy as much as possible and embraced this next card, which is clarifying the Empress in reverse. It is the Four of Swords. This is no communication and no contact. And this is faith and prayer. And if you're praying for what you don't want, for what you're worried about, it's never going to happen. It's not here. My person's not going to choose me. This, like, I can't be with anybody else. I don't care about anyone else. I don't have feelings for anyone else. That's the story. That's what is true. And you're like, well, I can't feel anything for anyone else. And it's like, okay, then that's probably because you're still holding on to the past. And you're like, no, but it's not in my power. And you're like, but it is in your power. And that's what the journey is about. The journey is not about, that's why when people say like, oh, you can't be with other energy or something, I just don't buy that. Because I don't think the journey is about learning that you are powerless. I think the journey is about learning how powerful you are. And that your power resides in your ability to have faith in the divine. Clarifying the Lovers in reverse is the Eight of Coins in reverse. We saw the divine masculine with the Eight of Coins upright in his headspace. But for the feminine, it is feeling like those she has devotion for do not have devotion back for her. And you can see that what she's making is from thorns, and it's actually causing her to have these wounds. So whatever it is that she loves, that she wants to do in the world, she's not doing it. Whatever it is that she really, truly loves to do, she's not doing it. And then she's blaming her person for not doing what he really loves and wants to do. And there is a parallel here. For every single one of you that's very focused or obsessed on what that masculine energy is doing or not doing, I know that you are not doing your passion. How do I know? Because when you come in and purchase a reading from me, an hour-long reading for $100, you don't ask me to help you figure out how to do what you're passionate about. That's not what people ask me. What they want to talk to me about is their person and how their person is still married or was in a relationship or is with this other person, and how when he was little, this happened to him, and how this happened to him and the other thing happened to him. And how by the end of a session with one of my clients, for the most part, I know everything about their person, who I'm not reading, by the way. I'm reading their energy. Their person didn't give me consent. I don't read for people without consent. So I'm only reading your own thoughts and feelings about your person. And you told me everything you thought and felt about that person, and I know very little about you unless I insist upon it, which I do a lot in my readings. I'll be like, okay, but what about you? What do you want to do? What's your passion? The people that I know are going to have the most difficult time when I work with them are the people who email me after our session and ask me if I can check the energy of their person again. I know they're going to have a very hard time because they really didn't take away this lesson. The lesson that if your person isn't choosing you and coming forward to you and expressing their love that you know that they feel for you, it's because you really aren't doing what you are meant to do. You are not doing your calling. And the second that you stop focusing on that person and free up that energy and the devotion that you have put into learning their fucking life story with total disregard for your own, the second when you stop doing that, that is when you can shift and change and grow and finally see energy that arrives that will truly work with you. Clarifying this Three of Cups, this reunion energy celebration, and also energy of third party, we see the Hierophant in reverse. This is not learning the spiritual lesson. This is still thinking that third party energy has something to do with another partner, another sexual partner, or a job or a career, and not embracing that you really are the third party in the situation, or that your person is the third party in your life. If you look at the Lover's card in the Smith-Waite deck, the masculine looks at the feminine, who looks at the divine. So in that triangle, we have the feminine is connected to the divine, and the masculine is the material version of the body that's on earth. So it's not about a man and a woman and an angel. It's about the relationship that you have. You have your ego, which looks to your intuition, which is connected to the divine in order to have what it desires, what it loves. And if anything interrupts that process, it's difficult to manifest what you love. So if you are focused on a person outside of the self instead of on your connection to the divine, you will have a difficult time manifesting what you're after, because the third party is the external person. The third party is the masculine. That's why when you look at the devil card, the lovers look at each other. They are focused on one another, and the devil likes it that way. That's how you keep them in bondage, because the devil is blocking their ability to tune into their higher self. Instead, they are focused on the material, and it makes it very difficult for them to actually have their power. That's why they have chains around their necks. That's why they are powerless. When you are focused on a third party, you are powerless. That's the higher level lesson here. As long as you're focused on someone else and what they're doing, thinking, saying, or going to do or think or say for you, you are giving up your power. This Two of Cups in reverse is being clarified by the freaking Knight of Coins in reverse, the slowest moving knight in the deck, the Knight of withholding energy, the knight that is refusing to give up anything because they are perfectionistic, methodical. Now, they are going to bring the best pentacle forward because they are going to take the longest to develop it, to make sure it's extremely secure, and they don't do anything that they feel insecure about. But that can mean that they don't do anything new, because you're going to feel insecure about anything new that you do. So this divine feminine here has gone into a state of no communication with that masculine energy who has been withholding his love and affection. No matter how solid and reliable that offer is, she doesn't give a shit. If you're going to withhold it, then she is not going to pour anything into your cup. The cup stops here in this situation. Clarifying the Six of Swords, this running or moving on energy, is the Eight of Cups. I cannot make that up. I told you, if you don't get what you want, you just move it along. And you're like not able to stick around and endure the discomfort and learn the lessons. Instead, you just keep going. You just look for another person. You go on. This happens all the time. I will help people through some of the most harrowing relationships where they have been treated so terribly, and I help them through it, and I help them, find a way to like feel better and do better. And the thing that they always do instantly is go back onto dating apps instantly. And then a month or two later, I get another message from them where they're talking about how they're in a relationship with somebody who is cheating. And they'll be like, I don't know why this keeps happening. And I, as their reader, I just have to be like, well, because you didn't fully recover from the past relationship that you were in. And rather than face the pain and the truth and heal the wounds, you kept it pushing. You kept moving away from what was uncomfortable instead of sitting there in the discomfort and feeling your feelings and asking yourself, where are these wounds coming from? Where in my life did I develop this belief? And how can I shift that belief? How can I walk away from those old toxic emotions towards my intuition, towards the divine, the balancing of the head space and the heart space? See how this is a balanced energy? Typically we have moon and sun in the Eight of Cups. They only have the moon here, but somewhat inaccurate, because when you walk away towards your higher self, it's towards the balancing of the connection. So while you think the masculine is running, ironically, it's you that is running, because when the masculine doesn't do what you want when you want it, you get uncomfortable, and you, instead of just embracing that this is a time for you, if this person is really your person and you're insisting upon this, believe me, every single one of my clients insists upon this. Their person is their twin. It doesn't matter what I say. It shouldn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what I say, because they need to trust their own intuition. And they have to learn to distinguish between their ego being fixated on someone and their intuition telling them that this is a lesson they're meant to learn right now. Those are two different things. But you insist this is your person. If this is your person, why are you in a rush? What is the rush? I mean, I have a biological clock. I had wanted to have another child, and that's slowly, it's actually slowly. It's not happening fast. If it was happening fast, I wouldn't feel like it was taking so long, right? But slowly that is becoming less and less of an option for me. In a certain amount of time, I physically will not be capable of that activity, no matter how gloriously young I look. Like, there is a deadline there. And so I feel, am I rushing so that I can, like, no, I don't want to rush for that. I don't. I want to accept whatever I'm given when I'm given it at the time I'm meant to be given it. That's really what I desire. But my ego gets afraid that I won't get what I desire. So if your person is your person, there is no need to rush. The space and time that you're given during separation is for you, bro. It's for you to do what you need to do. And if you're like, well, I don't care about what I'm doing, then that's your problem. If you don't care about what you're doing in your life, if it doesn't feel fulfilling, if it doesn't feel good, if you don't like where you're going, if you're not able to provide for yourself, if you're not connecting with your family and your friends, if you're not actually enjoying your life, there isn't a single person on the planet who can fix that. And if you expect your person to fix it, that's why you're not getting your person. They can't fix it, and you can't fix them. That's not what you were put here to do, despite what some readers will tell you, that the feminine person is supposed to heal the masculine, which is not at all correct. Everyone's feminine energy inside of self heals, and then the head follows suit, right? The heart heals, and then the head, the thoughts in the head heal. That's what they're talking about. But a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. And a lot of people go and get advice from those people, and it's frightening to me because they're telling them things that are keeping them stuck. But that's also meant to happen. You're meant to be stuck until you figure this out on your own. So they're doing their job, they're doing their part to perpetuate egotistical beliefs. But I'm hoping that you end up here and end up realizing that that is just your ego, and your ego is wrong. Your ego isn't right about the situation. So clarifying this poverty, consciousness, Five of Pentacles, separation energy is the Chariot in reverse. This is surrendering the ego's beliefs and allowing the divine to drive the chariot, and not thinking that something is taking too long, but embracing that the amount of time that it's taking is just right. If you were bringing a life and you had 9 months in which to make sure that that life would be as viable as possible. Again, if this was the choice that you were making, I just want to keep emphasizing that it is the choice that you were making. If that life started to come before the fifth month, you would have a lot of worry and concern over its viability. If you wouldn't want to rush it, you would want it to come when it was meant to. You would want it to be fully cooked before it came into the world, and risk its being lost or risk it dying in some way because it can't survive, because its lungs aren't developed enough, because its immune system isn't developed enough, because its bones and its musculature is not developed enough, because it is undercooked or underdeveloped. You would not want to rush it. You surrender to the amount of time it takes. That's why you're the Empress. Everyone else might want you to do things faster, 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 because that's how capitalism works, right? More efficient, more money, more, faster, better, harder, whatever. But we all know intuitively that that is not how nature works. and not how nature is ever meant to work, 1133. So you have to surrender the control to the divine. What feels out of control, what feels out of sorts, what feels like it's not going right, you have to surrender that. And it's hard. And I know I'm talking to you with some authority right now because I'm talking to you as a messenger, bringing you messages. But my ego is receiving these messages with just as much frustration and like emotion as you are. And when I watch this video again so that I can figure out what I actually said, and because I'm a Leo and I want to watch myself, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. My ego, it's fine. I will have that same feeling that you have of frustration about this, of not wanting to be the person that's responsible for the fact that things are taking so long, wanting to blame somebody outside of myself for whatever they're doing, instead of really embracing that as long as I keep looking and seeing the old version of my person, that is what I'm going to keep getting. This is a very long reading today. Usually that means there's a lot of really important messages that needed to come through that people hadn't heard before, things I had to describe that I've described on other readings that I've done. We're going to move now into the oracle section. I just want to inform those of you I'm seeing you say hi to me on YouTube. Hello. And I'm seeing some people commenting here. I'm not seeing the comments are very small. They're a little far away from me right now. So I can't see exactly what you're saying. Thank you so much for all the likes and the gifts that I'm receiving. I appreciate that. And just so you know, this is a collective reading. We're going to continue the collective reading. But if you came here to ask any questions about relationships, it is likely that you're going to receive exactly what you need. And it might not be what you think you need, because what you think you need is to know, when is he coming back? And that's not what you need. When you ask people for divination, when you ask people to know the future, you are simply setting up a timeline that is going to likely disappoint you, because your ego and the actual timeline are two different things. Your ego thinks, oh, that person told me that in October, XYZ was going to happen. And so then instead of doing any of the work you're supposed to do, you wait until October to see if your ego's desire is going to come through, and it doesn't. And then you're like, what? That divination said that I was going to learn something in October. And you did. You just learned what you were meant to learn in October. That you have to take your focus off of the timeline and focus on the present moment, because the future doesn't exist and the past doesn't exist. It's just something that you keep replacing memories over. To prove that, you can look at all the people that have been hypnotized and had false memories implanted, and then that became their reality, but it didn't really happen to them, but that's their reality. And you can't argue with their reality, because now they remember that. It's not real. It's not. All that's real is in this present moment right now, and nothing else matters. And if you're focused on when something is going to happen, you are always going to come up disappointed, because you need to focus on why you want it to happen. When, how is not your concern. Why is your concern? Because when you really explore the reasons why, sometimes you get surprised. Because if you're really honest, sometimes your expectation is that something is going to happen that's going to make you feel better. And what you really need to do is feel better now, no matter what your circumstances are like. Because your person is a person, and they are never going to be perfect. And they are not always going to show up on time. And they're not going to say what you want them to say or do what you want them to do. And they aren't perfect. There is a myth in the Twin Flame Collective that the person that you are attracted to is your perfect match. It is a myth. It is not true. Nobody is perfect. You can pick Joe Schmo off the street and develop a connection with Joe Schmo and get it as perfect as you can. It will be a perfect reflection of your head and your heart space and Joe Schmo's head and heart space. Every single person has the potential to be the perfect match for your current energy. If your current energy is shit, then the perfect match for you is shit. If your current energy looks good because you care about it and you try to make yourself feel better, then the perfect match for you is a person who cares about their energy and tries to make themselves feel better. That's how it works. There isn't a magic button. There's just work, and good work, and work that makes you feel fulfilled, and work you want to do because you want to be better, or you wouldn't be trying so hard to be better for someone else. And the second that you embrace that you are perfect in and of yourself right now, perfectly imperfect, and no longer try to please someone else or anybody except for your authentic self and your higher self, whoever that is, God, goddess, the source, the divine, it doesn't matter what you call it. That is when you have learned the lesson on the twin flame journey. That is when you've come into union, not a second before. And there's nothing physical about it. And I really wish you could embrace that, because as long as you're fixated on this physical union with a person, you are going to be trapped in the ego's illusions, because separation is also an illusion. You are already with that person. You always have been. You always will be until the end of time. Okay, let's start on the oracles. So we looked at this. Honestly, the divine masculine energy is looking a little better than the feminine energy in terms of their thoughts and feelings. But there's so many reversals on the feminine side that I know that everything is about to turn around for her. And it might have been some of the information in this reading that will help to do that. Just some of these realizations that she's, no matter how much work she does, she still keeps kind of rubber banding back to that state of focusing on the person who isn't here instead of the one who is. She'll be able to turn this energy around and be in a good place. We're going to go now to the masculine side of self, and we're going to look at everything that's important to keep in mind this week for your healing. Now, this is not about your person doing any of this stuff. If you're listening to this and you're like, yes, my person needs to do that, and my person needs to do that, and my person needs to do that, that's all well and good. I'm sure your person does need to do that. Everybody needs to do these things. This is the collective energy. Everybody needs to be aware of this and do it, not just your person. So let's start. We're going to start with the archetype that will serve them this week. Thankfully, it is one they seem to already possess, not something that they are not familiar with. It says the saboteur on it, and you're like, oh no, like, I don't want to be a saboteur. But the saboteur protects you from stuff that you're not ready for. And the light attribute that you need to focus on is highlighting your fear of self-empowerment and the changes it would bring to your life. When we put our power in someone else's hands, we are always feeling powerless. And you are sabotaging yourself when you give your power to someone else and their ability to please you, to come forward when you want them and to do what you want them to do. And to be in the light attributes of this, you need to understand that the only reason you are doing that is because you fear your own empowerment. My example that I have of this is I'm a music producer. I went to a college that I'm not even going to talk about anymore. I'm not even going to say what college I went to because of the absolute, complete, and utter inconsiderate way they have treated me since I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to that school. But I went to a fancy schmancy school for music, and I studied electronic production and sound design. And I was one of the only females in my department. And in an incredibly sexist industry, and one that allows women to be objects, sex objects, singers. You can sing, you can be on stage, you can be pretty, you can show your tits, you can make sure that everyone wants to fuck you. That's perfectly fine for women in the music industry. It's encouraged and paid well. But if you want to be a creatrix, if you want to use the masculine side of self to take action and produce the music and create it and be behind the scenes and be in charge and tell other masculine identifying people to do what is your idea, that's a different story. And this school did not support that any more than anyone else in the industry does. So there's that. I was terrified for years of embracing the fact that I had studied electrical and acoustical engineering, that I understood how to create sounds, and I understood it not just on an intellectual level, as in I understand what an oscillator is and how a formula works and how to make a random chaos generator and all the impressive masculine oriented tasks that I could do. I actually was afraid to embrace the power that I didn't even need to know any of those formulas or any of those concepts to create amazing fucking sounds intuitively without even knowing what I was doing. I felt like that made me a poser. It didn't. It made me incredibly powerful, but I was afraid to embrace that power. And that's what this is. Understanding that your intuition is far more powerful than memorizing a formula. Who's going to be able to do something faster? The person who has to double check their calculations, or the one that instinctively, intuitively knows exactly how to get where they're going? And even if that's sometimes not as efficient as having 11:44 on the clock, as having a particular awareness of a specific way to do something, it might be a little like less efficient to sort of just listen to different sounds and then be like, oh, this is the one that I feel is right for me. My end product is one that is completely my own. It's not coming from theories about what I should do, or basing it on what other people have done, or what is traditional, or what is structured, and it is innovative. And innovation is the only way that we end up progressing in our society. If you keep doing things the same way you've always done them, it turns out you don't innovate. So, valuing your intuition and your feelings and your emotions, and allowing yourself to realize that you have been very afraid of tapping into that and the changes it would bring to you. The masculine energy needs to be acutely aware of this right now. The guardian angel that is needing to support this masculine is supporting him in sweetness. This is interesting because sweetness for me, when you crave sweets, it usually suggests that you're craving nourishment and um like to be nurtured, to be nourished, to be held, to be cozy, to be safe, to be, usually when you're craving sweets, that's what it's suggesting, that you need this nurturing energy. And the divine masculine has looked outside of self for nurturing and has not really tapped into his inner power of nurturing himself. He likely has abandonment issues from the mother maternal energy in his life not being as nurturing as she could have been, maybe not even being present. This doesn't mean it's a mother. It can be a parent who did not have a nurturing side. So this can be like a masculine parent, a father energy that didn't have the nurturing qualities, because everybody's supposed to be in balance, right? So the masculine is needing much more support in this way. He's needing to really feel this gentle nature that he has within himself, and needing to be sweet to himself, and call on that sweetness in this connection, and not expect that it just come from the feminine, but that he actually be sweet himself. The mindset that will help him this week is, when I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Focusing on the inner light, the intuition, what is within self, the connection to the divine, the picture of the lovers where the masculine looks at the feminine, who looks at the divine. And that's not people, that in the self. So really embracing that lesson, focusing on his inner light, he will see the world through the lens of love, which makes it very difficult to act in a way that's not supportive and loving and nurturing. Because if you see the world through the lens of love, then you're not likely to act from a place of detachment. Closure is coming up for this masculine energy. And closure is never something someone else can give you. It's something that you grant yourself when you release the past, right? Which the feminine is holding on to over here. But the divine masculine is feeling like it is his job to bring about closure in some connections in his life. And maybe even in the behavior he's having towards that feminine with that death card. He is seeking to close out the old paradigms so that something new can actually happen. His animal spirit oracle is lion spirit. Be generous of spirit. And I'm going to read the message from the Colette Baron Reed deck, because this is an incredible deck. I love it so much. And it says, a healthy ego means you ease God's order instead of edging God out. Lion Spirit's appearance is a reminder that you have been given the gift of pride and a healthy sense of your worth to express your divine, authentic self in a unique way. You are both the king and the queen, secure in your prosperity and wisdom, and generous of spirit as you help others. Take pride in your ability to serve from the heart. Contentment with what you have right now allows you to use your resources wisely as you give to others in ways that educate, heal, inspire, and delight. Be proud yet humble. Practice gratitude, and you will find that the accolades that come to you are no match for the joy of knowing what you have been able to do for others through expressing the bounty of generosity within you. Lion Spirit knows there is a great savannah before you and many who will benefit from the healthy expression of your unique set of gifts if you choose to work in partnership with Spirit. All your relationships flourish as you express your worth and generosity of spirit with humility and kindness. What a blessing you can be to all. So that is the energy that is supporting the masculine right now, enabling him to be more generous and give more. And then his theme for this week is the Three of Pentacles. It says works. It is about partnership. It is about the things that we are creating. It's about teamwork and collaboration. It is about the 3D and about coming together. And if in some cases there is a third party involved, it is about closing out the influence that that third party has on the divine masculine's ability to be generous. All right, now let's look at the feminine's oracles. What do you need this week for the feminine side of self? You got to face this. This is the addict archetype, and it's in reverse, which means you are likely needing to release the shadow attributes, which is compromising integrity and honesty and allowing an addictive pattern to have authority over your spirit. Listen, I know you're addicted to readings. I was addicted to readings for a while. There's very few readings I listen to. I check TikTok occasionally to see what I think because that is what readings now are for me. And I strongly encourage you to use them this way. My Tell Me Everything readings are definitely junk food, and you can consume them to your detriment, or you can consume them in a pleasurable way, in moderation, and for their purpose, right? So the purpose of my Tell Me Everything spread is not for you to just find out what your person wants to say. It's to find out what you think they would say and how you feel about it. And the reason for that is to be able to shift your thinking. If you see the reading and you keep seeing the same story over and over again, then it's showing you that you are continuing to look and see the past, and you're addicted to it. You're addicted to it because you don't want to be in a space where when you look, your masculine doesn't love you. You don't want to be in that space where the reading is like, listen, I don't really love you. And it's really, it's more sexual for me. I've never really had any intention of making this happen. It's really been selfishly motivated, narcissistic. I just basically acquire, different energies so that I can feel good about myself and better about myself. And that's what's really going on. Nobody wants to get that reading. And when you do get that reading, you won't believe it. You'll be like, oh, this is for someone else. It doesn't resonate with me. Or if you're in a state of fear, you'll be like, oh no, this is exactly what. Those readings are not more real than your reality. So if you are already thinking and feeling and you're like, oh my God, this is exactly how I'm thinking and feeling. I'm like, I know. And you have to change how you're thinking and feeling in order to have something new happen. So you have to face that you have been addicted to hearing the same story because the same story is comforting. If the story were to change to what it might actually be for some, because listen, I have 15,000 people following me. Are there 15,000 people who are all going to end up with the person they're focused on? Or is there likely a great majority of people in that group who are fixated, focused, and addicted to a person that is actually showing them how little they care for themselves and love for themselves, and how little they value their time and their energy and their input and their purpose. Nobody wants to see those readings and absorb those readings because they don't want to face that they might have chosen somebody that is not good for them. They might have allowed their ego to take them down a path of suffering because they are used to it. So you're addicted to seeing that same story again and again because it's holding the space for you to believe that it's going to end, that it's going to stop, that you're not going to see this person do that. This person who's never changed is going to change. This person who honestly, if you want to be with them, would have to be totally different. Like they would have to be totally different. And you're like, no, they wouldn't. Like, no, they wouldn't. I love them how they are. I love them exactly how they are. I love everything about them. I think that when they do that, it's quirky. I think that when they do that, it's cute. I think that, and it's like, yeah, you love exactly who they are, don't you? Okay. Then why are you watching readings about them? Because you're looking for change. You are looking to see that when you get this reading today is going to be the day where it says your person is going to express to you, they're going to communicate to you, just like my reading said today. This reading said the masculine side of self is ready, knows they must communicate some material gesture to the feminine energy. And you want that to be about your person. You're like, yes, this person who doesn't at all do any of the healing work that I do, doesn't watch readings, doesn't know anything about the spiritual connection, has never heard of any of this stuff. This person is going to wake up today and they're going to realize what I have learned over my hard and difficult spiritual journey that I have been invested in. Instead of embracing that it's you that is going to do this. So many times people in my readings will be like, they literally will talk to me as if I'm their person, and they will say like, you never did this and this, that, and the other thing, and this, whatever. And it's really interesting to see that reaction from people. But it is like, you don't understand that the person that you're accusing, the person that you're talking to like that, that's you. And if you're willing to say this about another person, then you're saying even worse things to yourself. And that is why you're not seeing people step up and love you and care for you and honor you. It's because you are so invested in someone else that you forgot to do that for yourself. And so all the people that show up are invested in all the other things in their life except for you. And you're like, I don't understand. And it's like, but you're not invested in you. You're invested in this situation working out, and you're addicted to it happening. You have to recognize and confront this behavior. Your guardian, and you really need this guardian because you really don't believe in it. This is Christ. Christ is here to communicate to you the miraculousness of even being alive right now in this moment. This is a miracle. Just right now, you and me here together, technology that we're using, the bodies that we're using to hear and smell and taste and see and touch. Every aspect of this moment right now is miraculous. There's nothing about it that isn't. And we rarely recognize the profound miracle of just existing. And the potential that in any moment there can be a miraculous, spontaneous change. Our continuing to see the old patterns is a lack of faith. It is not believing that we are going to see something new and continuing to see the old. If you're not looking at the old stuff, you can't see it, right? You can't see the old thing, which means when the new thing shows up, you can recognize it because it doesn't remind you of the old thing. The way that you feel isn't a reminder. It's not a nostalgic feeling from the past. It's a new feeling. What did we see on the masculine side? The Page of Wands, the Page of Cups, the Page of not swords, the other page. Why can't I think of it? Cups, Wands, Swords, Pentacles, Page of Pentacles. There we go. We saw a lot of new stuff happening. In the feminine side, we saw this need to release the past so that what? You can see new things. So everything we saw on the feminine side, even though it was a little rough to go through that today, it was absolutely necessary for us to take new action, do new things, seek out new people, have new experiences. So Christ is supporting you in that energy. You must embrace this mindset. I am unapologetic about what I desire and trust that what I focus on will grow. This is, you can't argue with this. If you are apologetic about desiring someone from your past, you're not going to be able to be with them. This is why if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. If you go to your friends and talk about how shitty your person is, good luck ever manifesting them. You really have to just be unapologetic about your person. So if you talk about them and you feel shame, you're not unapologetic then. You're apologizing for what you desire. And you need to question that. Why do I feel shame when I want this person? Is it because they have treated me shamefully? And yet still I love them and I'm ashamed of my unconditional love? Or do I still feel a sense of shame and unworthiness? You have to kind of sift through that and figure it out because what you focus on will grow. So you'll either focus on a version of your person that makes you feel ashamed or shameful, or you will be unapologetic about the person that you desire, and you will focus on being unapologetic about it. A lot of reversals, Divine Feminine. Almost all your cards were in reversal today. So I know there's a lot of things that are shifting right now in this moment. This is Spirit Guide. It has the lemniscate on it. It has mirrored reflections. And I'm really feeling that this is you blocking out your twin this week energetically. And I think you should continue to do this because that energetic version of your person is their higher self. It's much more attractive than their 3D self because it is in tune. It is able to communicate truths that your person actually hasn't realized. It is the 5D version, and it is comforting to your person in the 3D that they have this ability to have this, mind calls it hyperspace, this escape with you. And that escape with you is a haven. And when you're comfortable, you stay in the haven and you don't leave it and come out into the material. So if you have been experiencing telepathic communication, you just need to respectfully close that door. And you do that with your guardians. I call on the Archangel Michael. What's so funny is when I call on the Archangel Michael, the weirdest thing happens. So I'll call on Michael's energy and I'll be like, listen, I can feel my person. Just please respectfully turn them away at the door. I do not want to communicate with them this way. I want to communicate with them in the 3D. I have no desire to continue having a telepathic connection with somebody. I'm alive. I'm on the planet. I'm living. If they want to have a telepathic communication with me after we fucking talk to each other and established it, that's fine. But I'm here now, present in reality, and that's where I want to be with my person. I don't want to exist in some ethereal space. And so I tell Archangel Michael that. I can feel, I always have this vision of this bright, because I don't picture Michael as looking like a person. I picture this like kind of the way that Raphael appeared to me, which is like just this almost like a pillar of light. But I picture a sword, a flaming sword. And I always picture it coming down, like just sweeping out anything and like blocking whatever comes in front of me. After I do that, every time at least one or two people match with me on Hinge, or that's the only dating app that I still have. And I don't even really use it. I just like see if there's people that match with me. They are named Michael. This happens every single time. I literally send screenshots to my friend and I'm like, well, I called on Archangel Michael last night and he sent me somebody named Michael. And it's never somebody that I want to be in a relationship with, but it's somebody named Michael. And it's like this weird thing of being like, you asked for Michael to block this energy to keep it from impinging upon your your health and well-being, and I'm doing that for you. And just to prove to you that I'm doing that, I'm showing you here there are all these other options. There are all these other options besides this one single soul who for some reason cannot physically communicate with you and can only rely on this. There are other options, and they are real, and they want to match with you, and they want to connect with you, and you are safe, and you are protected, and you are not impoverished, and you are not, right? Very interesting. So call on your spirit guides to block out any energy that is not serving you. You're getting the protection message of Canary Spirit and Divine Feminine. It's a message you need to hear. It is sing your own song. You do a lot of singing for others, and it's time to sing your own song. And that message is, are you suppressing your true voice? Perhaps trying to sing the song you think people want to hear instead of your own? You create a cage around your life when you express only what you think will help you fit in and get what you think you want. Are you hiding the real you, telling a safe story about yourself to others because you are afraid they will think you are too different if they knew the truth? Canary Spirit comes to help you express yourself in a more honest and authentic way. Yes, not everyone will agree with you. In fact, not everyone will want to hear your originality or accept your uniqueness. You must not give this a single care. There will be plenty of people, opportunities, and wonderful new experiences that arrive as if by magic once you open your own cage door and fly free. Canary Spirit is cheering for you and wants you to know you are safe and loved. Find your voice and have courage to spread your wings and sing out loud. The world needs your true song. And I'm trying not to get emotional and cry over that because of everything I told you today about me and my music. And it's very poignant message for me today. But it is about your creativity and your uniqueness in general, and about focusing on your gifts and what you have in front of you, and expressing yourself, because the next card that is your theme for this week is the Eight of Wands. And no, this is not permission for you to go message your person. I revoke any permission for you to message your person because you're supposed to sing your own song, and your own song should not be about another person. It should be about you. And the masculine side of yourself is finally willing to do that. It is finally willing to express itself. It is giving up the struggle and allowing itself to express one step at a time in the material. So if you have a passion, this is you being willing to take a step towards expressing it, right? I can't snap my fingers and get all my shows booked, but I can get one show booked, and I can then promote that one show. And then once I have that date, I can get the next show booked one at a time instead of being overwhelmed by all of it. And I can also reach out and ask for help. I can express that I need help to do that, that I am not expected to do that entirely on my own, that I have already done all of the work that needs to be done on my own to be able to move to the next place. And to move to the next place, I need help. I need to share the burden. It cannot be something I do completely by myself, no matter how hard it is for me to admit that. So this is your call to swiftly find a way, no matter how small, to express yourself. Okay. This has been a 1 hour and 57-minute reading, and we still are finishing these last oracles here, which is a record for me. I have been kind of keeping my readings on the shorter side, but apparently a lot of messages needed to come through today. If you've been watching on TikTok and liking and sending me gifts, I appreciate you so much. And YouTube, the same. I see the people that are here are liking the video. Thank you so much. I don't know why people find that difficult to do. I would say about 1% of views receive likes. And I just think it's the weirdest thing because it's just like, boop, oh, I just supported you. I was, look at that was really difficult. I guess some people don't want to fuck their algorithm up, or maybe they don't want people to see that they like tarot reading. I don't really know what it's about, but when you like my content, when you share my content, when you purchase private personal readings, you are allowing me to give you a 2-hour reading on a Monday at 10 a.m. instead of me being in an office somewhere, wasting my gifts, wasting my energy, wasting my time doing something simpler and easier. And every day I have to get up and choose to do this job and believe that you will support me in whatever way you can. And I don't always expect it to be financial, but I do expect some kind of energetic exchange for all of the value I bring. And I just have to say that because I want you to say the same thing in your life. I want you to leave this reading today and feel your value and expect that others will see that and support you. And they do. I have so much support. And there are many ways to do that. You can click the link in the box below if you're watching on YouTube. You will see my website. You can send me a deck there. I fixed the address now, so it should come to my house. If anybody has sent me a deck and it came back to them because it didn't go to my old address, I apologize, but I did fix it now, so it's going to go here. There will be another list that I will be adding to the description box on my YouTube videos. It will also be on my website. It will probably be a button that will say, send me a gift. And if you would like to send me a gift, something that I need when I move into my next apartment or just for my household or whatever, you can do that as well. I know a lot of people like to do that instead of giving just money. It's fun to give people things like that. So you can do that as well. One of the best ways to support me is just to become a member for $3.33 a month. You will have access to the full length Tell Me Everything spreads that I do on Thursdays. And I'm doing a new series where I am teaching 78 cards of the tarot over the next 78 weeks. I have 2 done. There are 2 cards that are gone over in great detail. I use the Hermetic Tarot, which is a very esoteric deck with a lot of information and astrology and all kinds of things. And then I do a reading where I look at the masculine and feminine energy in regards to that specific card. So you really learn a lot about it. Plus you get a little check-in to see what the energy is like on that day that I do the reading. That happens on Fridays. So $3.33 a month, very small donation for you. But if a lot of people make that donation, I will not have to even talk about money anymore, which would be so great. I would really love to do that. And then of course, a really great way to support me. And towards this end of the month, when my rent is due and my car payment is due, this is very vital for me to survive. Book a private reading. There are readings for $33 and $44 that are pre-recorded, and you send me your question, or in the case of the Tell Me Everything spread, you let me know if you want to know about the masculine or feminine side of self. And then I send you the pre-recorded reading, and it has a meditation in it, and you can listen to it repeatedly at your pleasure. And then there is the virtual sessions. Those start at $111. There are 3 slightly discounted readings for $155. Those are 90-minute readings, and they are modeled after the 3 different styles of readings that I have done on YouTube for the last 3 years, which brings me to the final option, which is that if you cannot afford a reading at this time, or you do not want to pay for one at this time, you can still have access to all of my collective messages here on YouTube if you're watching me over there. And if you're watching me on TikTok, head over to YouTube, subscribe, follow Tuned In Tarot, and there are literally hundreds of hours of readings just like this one, and some of them are over 2 hours long. So you'll need popcorn, and you'll have plenty of content to get you through your addiction to tarot readings. So, oh, interesting. We have a card in reverse. I wasn't really expecting that from my Thoth Tarot. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I like that. All right. Let's conclude this reading with the final cards, which are for both masculine and feminine side of self. These are the things you are in union about in regards to what you need, what you have, etc. Your archetype is the dilettante. It's in reverse. I do not like this card, Sam I am. The shadow attribute is pretension to a much deeper knowledge than you actually possess, but I'm not feeling that. When it's in reverse for me right now, what I'm feeling is that you are desperately in need of this part of the card, which is delighting in the arts without having to be a professional and alerting you to the danger of becoming superficial in your pursuits. This is a twofold message. Number one, it's do what you're passionate about and what you love without having to be a professional at it. Just start doing it. That's the start small thing, to tap into your creativity. This is the masculine energy, not knowing exactly how to be emotionally available, but dabbling in it nonetheless, okay? The other part of it is a warning, which is not to dabble only, not to just be surface level, but to have an intention to take what you're doing even deeper, to go more into it, to not just, you know, test it out, but to actually fully commit to really being involved in your passion without needing to be a professional at it. A lot of times we don't do something because we think we have to be perfect. That's the Knight of Cups. I'm sorry, the Knight of Coins in reverse, feeling this perfectionism. I can't do my tour until I have a manager, a booking agent, and $10,000. Well, guess who will never do a tour? If I can't shift my beliefs right now and really imagine, which apparently I have a hard time imagining somebody calling me up after all the content I've put out and all of the opportunities there are for somebody to discover me. And I've even had a manager before that disappeared after COVID. And so if I can't imagine that happening, then I am just limited to waiting until I can change my mind about it or booking my own tour and not needing it to be perfect. Um, that is where you are at right now. You need to go deeply into something without being perfect at it. St. Anthony of Padua is here. I probably call on him 3 times a week as an Italian. We love St. Anthony. If you follow hardcore Italians on any social media, you're going to hear St. Anthony, come around. Something's lost and can't be found. And it's Tony Soprano's name. So it says you found it. And until you embrace that you have found what you are seeking, you will feel like you are seeking. Even if your person called you up today and was like, hey, I've been thinking about you. I love you. I want to be with you. And let's go out on a date and get this party started. If you didn't feel that you had already found what you were looking for, you would go to that date and you would still be seeking it. You had told yourself, oh, I was seeking a person to love me and ask me to come on a date with them. And then you would be there and you'd be searching and you'd be looking at them and you'd be like, are they going to ask me to marry them? Are they going to commit to me? Are they going to, is this because you're still seeking something that's outside of self? So you have to embrace this lesson. The good news is you have somebody to support you in doing that. St. Anthony's job is to help find things that have been lost. And so the part of yourself that you feel that you're lost, St. Anthony is supporting you in feeling that you have found it. The mindset that you need to cultivate, this means you do not yet feel this or think this, is through prayer and meditation, I create a ripple effect of peace in the world. This is so significant right now because right now there's not a lot of peace in my mind or in my heart in regards to me being a second class American citizen according to my government, which has decided to use a religious concept called the quickening to take control over my ability to make autonomous decisions about my body. And so right now, a lot of us are feeling that we have very little effect on the world and that in fact we are being disregarded by the world and that the children, which I want to say must be unborn sons, are more important than the unborn daughters. And I'm just going to keep reiterating that to anybody who comes at me with the unborn baby thing. I'm going to be like, oh, are you talking about unborn sons who have autonomy? Because you're certainly not talking about me as a woman. So any of my daughters that are unborn are not coming out as like equals, right? Yeah. Okay. So it's very hard to imagine in a world with war and suffering and plague and discrimination and inequality that your prayer and meditation create an effect of peace, but they do. And even in this situation that we're in right now, and believe me, I don't want to be nonviolent. I don't. I'm a Leo. I'm a lion. I want to get my claws out and dig out eyeballs from sockets. Like, I'm not in a place where I want to be peaceful. I want to rage. I want to bathe in the blood of the bourgeoisie. Like, I want French Revolution. Like, that's where my anger is, where my aggression is, where my masculine energy within inside of myself is, because my feminine energy feels so powerless that I want to react aggressively. It's very hard for me to imagine going deeper into my feminine energy and being peaceful at a time when I feel like I need to get a pitchfork and like set shit on fire. but it is me thinking about the world in that honestly distorted way that is not allowing the healing and peace that I know is possible to have its profound effect. Because in the end, it is really tuning in to the higher power's plan and knowing that your faith and your belief in yourself and your worthiness and your power is what makes change, not trying to like manipulate the clay yourself, but surrendering to the power the divine has. For instance, Kali, right? The destroyer, like she is going to be able to take care of this a lot better than me. Like I'm just one person. I can only buy so many guns, right? Kali has got it. And I just have to put my faith in the disruptive power of the feminine. And that is really going to cause a ripple effect. It's also just about your relationship too. That prayer and meditation and attuning into that peace brings peace into your connection. And there's peace. It's in reverse. The peace is always available to you. It is always available. There is always hope. There is always the Holy Spirit. There is always the ability to bring peace into a situation of struggle and strife. It is not always clear how to do it, but it's not up to you to know how. You just have to know why you want peace and let the universe bring peace. Now, the universe does it in all kinds of fun ways. Catastrophes. Like, it's not like there's not an aggressive power that the universe has. It's just not your job to do it. You are just needing to tune into the peace that comes from surrendering control to the divine, not humans, not government, not votes. I'm sorry. For those of you that are like, all we have to do is vote. Oh, really? Because that works so well? That's not all we have to do. But we don't have to know exactly how we need to do what we need to do. We just need to tune into the peace that the divine has got it and show up for every single scenario where you're being asked to show up. You know, if you get an invite to some kind of a protest, go, participate, be involved. But you don't have to aggressively figure out exactly how to do it. You have to let yourself be inspired. Porcupine Spirit is here with this message of time for beginner's mind. It is number 48 in the deck. And it says, when Porcupine Spirit calls your name, you are being asked to adopt a beginner's mind and to approach situations with innocence and curiosity. The old confining stories no longer have a hold on you. Life is full of surprises hiding in plain sight. Looking at the world afresh with new eyes can help you find what you have been seeking, whether it is a relationship, an opportunity, or evidence that you have all you need right now to co-create what you desire. Who knew? Porcupine asks you to be playful and have a childlike curiosity. There is so much waiting for you that you have yet to discover. And there is just this element here of you are safe and protected. And the Porcupine Spirit is able to float also because these quills are hollow and they can float. So there is this element of you are safe and protected and you are going where you need to go. You just need to think anew about the situation. You have to let go of that past, like we talked about at length for the feminine energy. We are at the final card of this reading. I am at 2 hours and 12 minutes. If there is anybody who wants a personal reading right now, I will do a few of them for maybe 30 more minutes. That's all I have in me. Go over to TikTok and you can click the link in my profile. There is a PayPal button that says support, a Venmo button, and a Cash App button. If you would like to book your personal reading on TikTok, go ahead and send $11, $22, or $33. And then I will tell you how to do the rest over. You just have to put your name in the comments, tell me how much you sent, and your question or general if you need that. If you want a personal private reading, click the link in the profile below for that. And if you aren't planning to get a reading today, that's totally fine, but you would like to leave even a small donation, you can use those links in my profile to leave a small donation or to send me a deck, as I stated before. So this is the final card for this reading, and it is the Knight of Cups. And it's interesting because in the Thoth Tarot, the Knight is the king. And I can't escape the Knight, the meanings of the Knight of Cups, and blending it with the King of Cups, because that is what makes sense to me as a reader. And I think it's very significant because the masculine was feeling in his King of Cups energy. But the Knight of Cups is the one who has the ability to express. And the fact that this was in reverse is interesting because I don't do reversals in this deck. They are all upright. So it's very rare that a card will be in reverse. And for me, that is a reversal of this tendency that the masculine has to keep silent about his actual deep feelings. And this is a theme of opening up and expressing and not being wishy-washy any longer in your life. And this isn't for you to get irritated at your masculine being like, yeah, he's so wishy-washy. No, so are you. And you have to figure out where and how you are wishy-washy and stop doing that. Just bring your full expression to that thing. Not a little bit, not a trickle, not a drop, but the whole bucket. Like pour it all out and let everyone see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, touch it. And that is your command from the divine for this week. OMG, that's a long ass reading. I haven't had a reading this long in a while. I'm going to sign out for YouTube right now and end the stream. If you only caught the tail end of this reading, you can hop over to the Tuned In Tarot YouTube that's in my TikTok profile and watch the replay at your leisure, which is probably good because it's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. And I do these deep check-ins on Mondays for everyone in the collective. So if you ever want to join me, I will be doing them at 10 o'clock on Mondays from here on out, unless there's something that messes with my schedule, but you'll know because I'll post about it. So thank you, YouTube, shutting you off, and I will see you next week, or if you remember, I will see you on Thursday. And now I'm going to take my focus over here to